everybody. Uh, Nice and sunshiny today. We've had about almost two full cold days, so hopefully this winter is behind us. I don't care for the cold myself. Anyway, you see, I got a sheet of plywood. I've got some components, cabinet components, and I'm going to show you um, my process of building this very unique armoire style, historical looking, antique looking style of a cabinet, a wardrobe cabinet with some doors, some really tall doors. It's in a really tall, well, it's not terribly tall, but it's like an 11-foot tall room. And this thing is going to be pushing 10 feet tall, and it's going to be in the neighborhood of 9 or so feet wide. It needs to fit the room. It needs to belong in the house. It's a house from 1900, so you can't just do shaker doors and chamfered corners. It's got to, and I'm not going crazy with it. I'm not carving details and stuff like that, but I'll show you the design like right here, and I've had a lot of back and forth with the owner about the design. I had some ideas, and then we did a little back and forth, and here we are with this picture. And we're both really happy with it. So now it's time to execute. And in doing so, I had this one cabinet, 7 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood, 4 sheets of 1/2 inch plywood, um, and there's going to be at least 1 sheet, maybe 2 sheets of 1/4 inch for drawer bottoms. That caught me a little off guard. It tells you the size of it. It's not massive, but it's sizable. It has some size to it. So the very first thing with every sheet, because this is a paint grade birch, 3/4 inch, I'm going to rip the edge clean. So it's going to be a clean edge and a straight edge. And the battery's dead. Timing, right? Here's one thing. I use the website cutlistoptimizer.com. I plugged in all of my component dimensions, and then I forgot to label them, but it will label them for you. But I came back and I labeled them. Gives you the most efficient way to get everything out of the material that you have. Anyway, I'm down to the last page, but I need to bring back the track. This is the Boris Centipede, the 2x4 by 36-inch tall Boris Centipede, but I have my little racks on there. You've probably seen the video. I've been using it all day. I've had this thing for about 3 years now, and I haven't replaced it. I don't use it every day, but it's still got a lot of cuts in it, but it's still holding up, so I haven't had to replace any of those pieces yet. I'm going to bring in my 90-degree cutting tool from TSO. You stick it up just like that and you make a 90-degree cut. I have everything cut and they're kind of scattered around. We have a list. We have the master list in pencil, and A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. So what I've done, so I don't lose track of anything, this is D, this is A. Actually, there might be one more coming. Maybe not, I don't know. Here, B and F, E and C. Even this one's H. Even though some may be obvious, I don't want to accidentally, there a lot of them are very similar. I don't want to mix them up. And I do that a lot with when I'm making multiple chair parts. And I have a lot of these ready to go with numbers. They help me identify a lot of chair parts. So that's almost it. The next step is gonna be a number of these are gonna receive a rabbet in the back, which will receive cabinet back, which is 1/2 inch plywood. So we'll get on to that next. All right, so I have all the components cut for all the sides, all the tops, bottoms, and the backs, which are 1/2 inch. But all of these, except for two, 6 of these boxes are going to have adjustable shelves. And typically I do that at the end because I don't think about that beforehand. But this time I'm going to do it beforehand. But what I have to pay attention to is what's the bottom, what's the top of each component. And what I have is this 11-hole jig, which works really well. It's got little pieces here that allow a 5mm drill bit to fit nicely in. Or if you want to use 1/4 inch, there's more of these in the bag. But it all depends on what hardware you're putting in those holes. And I've got 5mm little pins, so I'm using 5mm holes. And they drill them every 32 millimeters. It's got a stop that you could set your distance away from the edge. And this is the front edge, so I'm setting it at 37 millimeters. And the way I start it, I just flush it up on the end. Here's a little piece of wood just to make sure it's flush on the end. Here's one thing. I don't want to start drilling holes at the very bottom. I want to start, I measured, and it's around 10 inches roughly. So I'll have my first hole at this mark, and I identified it with one of these extra pins. I put one over here so that when I do this one, I can line it up there also. And it's the exact same measurement. Everything's perfectly symmetrical. And as I get to the top, I want to, as you can see over here, if you can, stop with that same kind of empty margin at the top. So I've got a number of holes. Let's get started. With a little block of wood, flush it up. It's flush on the bottom. And we're going to start from the bottom on everything. It's up against my stops here. You can even tighten these up and lock it into place, and it holds very well. I'm not going to this one, I'm going to this one. I drill a hole. And then I disconnect everything. I come back to the first hole. I've got a little pin. They've got this little pin that has 5mm and 1/4 inch dowel. So with the 5mm pin, I go through here and that locks it into position. Snug that up a little bit, make sure it's up against the stop. I could even snug this one up too. Now I could drill all these holes and repeat and repeat and repeat, but without going too far. Loosen up my stops. The pin locks it in place. Then I clamp it. I've got a stop collar, this is from a Manitoul, a lovely stop collar. It grabs it on both sides. It's very beefy and it's simple to adjust. You don't dial it in, but you move it where you want it. Then you tighten the screws on both sides. It's very nice. It's much better than just a simple collar with a set screw. It's a 2-piece collar with posing set screws. It's not a set screw that's going to work itself loose. So I got this 1/4 inch dowel. I think that's going to fit close enough. Get a little glue in there. I forgot to bring a little hammer. So when I sand everything else, that's going to be completely invisible. Pay attention. I got all the components built. I'm not going to talk about my mistake. I showed one mistake. There's another mistake. Anyway, this is one of the side cabinets. It's got all the holes. The bottom is here, indicated with the B, Bravo. Here's how I assemble the cabinets. I do this every time. I don't do cabinets all the time. I don't do drawers all the time, but I have my ways of doing these things when I do them. This one changed a little bit because I wanted to hide the back. I didn't want to be able to see it from the end, so I rabbited this out, and that I think that's a good move. It worked really well with the router. So anyway, with the cabinet, every single time the top goes on top of the side, and at the bottom, this is the bottom actually, the side sits on top of the bottom. If there's any weight put on it, the weight transfers from one to the other. If you do it like this, the cabinet's not going to fall apart, but that's the way it works. You put weight here, it moves there. But if you put weight here, it is supported by that one. I kind of squared up with an eyeball. You can look at the cut edge. I have some of those squares. I don't see the need. Here's one thing. This isn't exactly sitting perfect, and I've got a rabbited edge. So I take a little block, I put it on the bottom so that both pieces are barely sitting on that small block. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. Square this up again. I can move it around with my left elbow. Line that up on the bottom. Now I could even go down and look, and I know that bottom is flush because all the weight of everything is going down. I don't have to be up here wiggling around with it. So I just get it flush on the side, and that's pretty good. I've got a 2-inch brad, 18 gauge. The deeper cabinet, I put a few more, but I'm only going to put 3 in here. I get it in the middle, flush it up top. Now, we can bring the next one in, doing the same thing with that little block, that tiny little baby block. There's no blowouts on the inside. Here's the next thing. I've got my Amana countersink. There's no glue. Not now. Gently countersink it. Now, if this is deeper, I'm going to have more holes, but I want my holes to be every 7 or 8 inches. These are 6 inches or less. Perfect. Some screws, 2-inch screws. This is a rock solid cabinet. Hello, I said that and it cracked. Weak piece of plywood. And we switched to the gun with the 1.5 inch brads, 18-inch, not 18-inch, 18 gauge brad nails. But I feel good about it. I say that with a question in my voice. And so close. There it goes. There it goes. Fits in nicely. It dropped in nicely. I'm going to get this side good first. Few at the other. I'll go to the center roughly, kind of like here, and I'll tap this in and put one. Then I'll split that difference. That's it. So that's it. That's a completed box. It looks beautiful. You see, I've got the holes for the adjustable shelves. No blowouts. A little bit of glue squeeze out. That'll paint. It'll paint nicely. So there we go. I got one more tall one and then 4 more short ones, and all the boxes are done. Okay, I've got a drawing of what my face frame material needs to be. I've got a sketchy list, and I've found some material in the garage. I cut one piece. This is all poplar. This was a 1x12. Most of that is poplar. I got a little bit of cherry if I have to go to it, but I think it'll paint just as well. So I've got actually two different thicknesses of face frame. The horizontal pieces, there's a top, a middle, and a bottom. All those are 3.5. The bottom and the top are going to be covered up with crown molding and with some of the base and the K mold to leave a reveal of about 2 inches. The middle one is 3.5 because it ties in with the 3.5-inch chair rail throughout the room. And all the vertical pieces are 2 inches. So I'm cutting these like 2 1/16, maybe even a heavy 16th, and we'll eventually put them through the planer to get clean edges on both sides. So I'm cutting my longest pieces first. I need 6 of those total. I'm probably going to the cherry very quickly. Hopefully I have enough to get 6 or even these 7 pieces. And then if I don't, the local place near me has poplar, so I don't have to drive 60 miles to the hardwood place like I often do. So anyway. Here's my scalloped section, the base in the center, and I have to make a 4-inch radius on either side. And it makes me think I need to make a radius jig for my mini router. And I've got some ideas with 1/4-inch plywood, with the mini router, possibly with the plunge base. That would be really good. So here's what we got. This will fit both bases. The only caveat is we have to take the plastic one off, whatever you call that, acrylic one. But this will fit right on there, in that hole pattern. And it'll also fit on this hole pattern, removing this piece of acrylic. Like so. And then I can determine the distance, drill a little hole, and then put a screw, put a screw in there wherever I need, let's say a 4-inch radius like I need out here. That should work well. I don't see why not. But I want to put it on the plunge base. Look at that. Goes right in very nicely. Here's my pivot point. I'm even going to spray it with my dry lube just to give it a little so it glides. What do they call this? A proof of function? Something like that? So in theory, that'll swing around just like that. So I used the other plate to do the other side, and I had a few issues. It feels smooth. I haven't even sanded the surface of it, but it all feels pretty good and smooth. I've got a little 1-inch screw, drywall screw. It'll go through here. And I've already got a hole started here, just barely tapped. There we go. About like that. So I'm going to drop it in here, and I'm going to swing it around. Drop it another, swing it around, drop it another, and swing it around. Okay. spin it one time. It's kind of dirty. I need to blow it. I don't have my blower handy. But that looks pretty good. That looks really good. How about that? Not bad for a 3-minute jig. And this is something I'm going to keep with me forever. I'm probably going to keep it mounted on this base for a pretty good while. And next time, if I need a different radius, I could take a new measurement, drill a new hole. The only caveat here is I have a hole in the workpiece. But in this case, this section of the workpiece is going to be discarded. This section of the workpiece will be kept. So something to keep in mind. Or if I get into another scenario, I know there's other ideas out there. There's other people with pretty clever ideas of hole-free jigs. I might get into that, but I kind of ran into a jam. I didn't have time to go searching the internet, and I came up with this. And it's quality material. It's honestly, it's quality constructed, looks right, it feels right, it's going to last forever. tripod, so we're winging it. We're getting close to being finished here. I'm installing the hardware. I'm drilling the holes for the big handle hardware. And one of the things, I've got my little bracket to assist me with drilling the holes. There's 2 holes on these. So earlier, I have this one set up because it has a little stop on it. And I had it secure at the bottom, and I had done the math to lay everything out because I want this larger handle centered in the lower panel of the door. So this hooks on the bottom, it actually goes this way, and this rests against the rail, and I don't want to scratch anything, but I drilled the first hole, but it doesn't reach both holes. So after I drilled the first hole, like here, I made a round across everything, drilling the first hole. I've got these little pins. Can you see that? It's a tiny little pin. I take that pin, I put it in this first hole. This is what we're getting to. It's a nice snug fit. And then I remove the one with the stop on it, but the other 2 are lined up perfectly for the handle. So one of the holes I put onto the pin, and it fits also very snug. I just swing it up. I've got the big stop against the stile, is it? And I drill. I've got a big trash can underneath me here to catch a lot of that debris. Now I can snug it up. Not too much, just snug. There. How about that? We talked about the handle in the center of the door, but the top of the door is 9 feet in the air. So, and the bottom of the door is, what is that, 32 or so? 37 and a half. 37 and a half, because that matches chair rail throughout the house, which is a nice feature. Anyway, handles on. We got a lot of the knobs in place, and I'll get the rest of the handles on, and then we're doing the hardware that is going to swing down and hang your clothes on it and then swing it back up. One tall section for long dresses or overcoats or what have you, and this one we're going to try to get a swinging rod, then also a fixed rod in the middle on this side. So we're getting close. We're going to finish today, I promise. Here we are, folks. This is the masterpiece. Look how tall that is. It's pushing 10 feet tall. It's almost 10 feet tall. It's practically 10 feet wide. It's got a center rail that kind of lines up with, you can't see it here because I buried everything, but there's a chair rail throughout the room, throughout the entire house. And I wanted to continue that feeling of the chair rail with the mid rail. And we've got UV drawers that are on self-closing hinges. Everything is inset. The drawers are inset. The doors are inset. On this side, you see a box. We had electrical, when you walk into the room to flip the switches, well, we turned it and put it into the side of the cabinet and covered it up with a box. One screw to remove the box should an electrician need to access those wires for any reason. We got places for shoes. If we needed to, the other shelves could be tilted. If they could all be flat, if we want to do that. Lovely handles, kind of period looking, matching the knobs. The lower cabinet, it has an adjustable shelf there also. It's got the tall, what is that? Overall, it's about 11 and a quarter to the top of the K-mold, which is on top of a, not quite a 1x12, but we wanted it to look like a piece of furniture. And I think it does look like an armoire or a wardrobe. So we've got the 5-inch drawer and then the wider 7 and 9-inch drawers, and they really are nice. I'll show you a close-up of the quarter method that I used. Come here. They're solid, they're tight, they're lovely. One of the things, the main reason to build this entire thing is it's a really old house. It's like 130 years old. It's on the National Historic Register, but there's not enough closet space. There is a closet over here, but it's not enough for two people, two busy people at that. So we needed closet space and space to put shoes and maybe purses and maybe other things that you put in your drawers. So we can go up here with long garments, and we've got this Rev-A-Shelf item that pulls down. You hang your clothes on there, and you just kind of let it go, and it takes it. You just got to make sure it's open far enough. I rigged it up so it clears the hinges, it clears the top, and then you close everything up. We're going to do the same thing here, but we're going to add another rod. That's the only thing I'm missing. Another rod in the center so they could have two layers of shorter items, tops or suits or what have you. Long rod, a tall rod, and then the short rod. So you can even slip out of your hand and it goes up gently, softly. Rev-A-Shelf did it again. And it was really nice to install. I might do a video on that one day. And what else? The window goes beyond the cabinet. So we left a space back there big enough for the curtains to push back into the opening, the cavity, and the same kind of thing over here. Adjustable shelves. I don't know how they want to set up their shelves, but I set a few that are kind of like visual. You can see shoes if you wanted to put shoes here, and then maybe you could put other things that you don't reach every day, put it a little higher. Same kind of thing here. They've got the situation plugged in for some electronics. I kept everything plugged in. It really is, for me, it's a masterpiece. This is, I know major cabinet companies build things like this every day. They have CNCs, they have planners, they have the program mosaic kind of stuff. They have installers, they have assemblers. I'm just me with that. I make my own drawings. I don't use a mosaic per se, but I generate from scratch an electronic drawing, a CAD drawing, and I did with this. And we had a little back and forth, and hey, let's look like this. Hey, what about that? Well, she said, I need this and I want that, and that doesn't look right, and this does. And this is a lot of back and forth in a very constructive way. Every bit of it was, hey, that's a better idea. Hey, this is awesome. So look at this. I'm loving this. One thing I said is we have to have inset because it's a historical house. You can't put overlay, just slap doors on top of cabinets, and so it got tedious. You got to make everything. You got to keep your margins tight, and there's planing, there's track sawing, there's keeping it straight, keeping it fitting, and on top of the old look, we still have the mega hinges, which are they're like 215 degree hinges, maybe? Is that what they are? They're 165? I forget. And what are they? Solis hinges. And I've used these before at my house. I've used them on another historical house, and I'm very happy with them. So instead of hinge shopping, I'm going to keep using what I am happy with. I like how they open up and they open out of the way, which you don't get from the Home Depot hinges. Those just open up to here, or maybe here if you're lucky, and that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. These open up out of the way. Whether you need this or not, you want to get out of the way and access your goods. Anyway, I'm rambling. What's that commercial? Tangent alert. Stupid. Anyway, thanks for checking it out. I'm happy to share this one. This isn't too far from where I live, but it's a wonderful job, wonderful people, wonderful neighborhood, wonderful district of the city, within the city, and I'd love to do more of this. So, Island Crown, baby. From outdoor furniture to cat walls to historical heirlooms. This is gonna, it's gonna add to this house. This house is already remarkable, but this built-in piece is really gonna add to it. And we're not done, because we're going in that room and we're gonna do some stuff, and we're going in that room and we're gonna do some stuff, and we're gonna do like 4 things upstairs, all as glamorous as this. So I'm excited about this year. This whole year is already very exciting. So join me, would you? Won't you? It's time for the gumdrop music or whatever. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka. So cue the music, Charlie. Thanks. A quick look. You see the drawers. You see the quarter method. There's a little tiny gap there, but there's no gap there, or maybe just a hair. These are very nice. The bottom one is pre-finished, totally on the edge, but I had to end up making cuts and sanding down these. That one looks nice also. But they close so nice. The margins are nice. What else was I going to show you? The electrical as you walk in. We had to move it to the side of the cabinet. Nothing wrong with that. It's all lovely, glamorous. The sides are shallower than the front, so you're not crowded as you walk in the door. And it builds out in the center, and then it symmetrically moves back on the side before you hit the window. So lovely.